Epictetus once wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Most people are not defeated by major events. They fall because of small collisions. A slight, a judging glance, a casual remark that hits exactly on a weak spot. You don't lose your composure because the issue is too serious. You lose your composure because you allowed it to step inside. Every time you react impulsively, every time you try to explain yourself, every time you let someone else's emotions control your state, you are handing over control to something undeserving. And the most dangerous thing is not being hurt, but letting that hurt dictate how you live. Stoicism does not teach you to become cold. It teaches you something much harder: to master your own reactions, to stand in the middle of chaos, but not let the chaos set inside. When you master that state, you become difficult to provoke, difficult to manipulate, and almost impossible to defeat by the words or attitudes of others. Not because you are devoid of emotion, but because you don't let emotions take the steering wheel. In this video, you will learn 10 Stoic principles to live as if nothing could shake you. No need to prove yourself, no need to react, no need to ask anyone for permission to be calm. If this journey speaks to what you are experiencing, hit like as a commitment to yourself, and subscribe to Stoic Journey to train a more resilient mind every day. Now let's begin. 1. Don't react immediately. Most serious mistakes in life do not come from your lack of competence, but from the moments you react too quickly. A comment that touches your ego, an attitude that makes you feel disrespected, an unexpected situation that makes emotions surge before reason can step in. And in just those few seconds, you say what shouldn't be said, do what shouldn't be done, handing over control to others without realizing it. Epictetus once reminded us that it is not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them. Strength is not found in reacting fast, but in the gap between stimulus and action. That gap can be very brief. One deep breath, 1 second of silence, one pause long enough for you not to say what you will regret. It is in that moment that you reclaim the power of choice. Remember, anyone who can make you react is controlling you. When you get angry, you lose your advantage. When you rush to explain, you put yourself in a weak position. But when you don't react, you lose nothing. You maintain your inner balance, preserve your integrity, and keep your power. Not every word requires a response. Not every provocation is worth your energy. The next time emotions flare up, stop. When you don't react immediately, you are not weak. You are acting as a master of yourself. 2. Not everyone gets access to you. Not everyone who appears in your life has the right to step into your inner world. This is something many people learn too late. Because every time you let your emotions be swayed by the words or attitude of others, you are putting yourself in a controlled position. The Stoics do not close themselves off from the world, but they are selective. They understand that opening up is not an obligation, but a privilege. Some listen to understand, but others listen to memorize, evaluate, and then use it later when necessary. With such people, keeping your emotional self inside is not being fake, it is self-defense. Communication does not equate to granting power. You can be polite, calm, yet still maintain inner peace by establishing clear boundaries. Epictetus reminds us that when you allow others to hurt you, you have put yourself in a position of weakness. A firm person understands this early. Not everyone needs to know what you are thinking, what you are feeling, or what you are going through. When you control who has the right to touch you, you do not become cold. You become clear. And that clarity is inner freedom. 3. Silence is a position of strength. Epictetus once wrote, "Either keep silence or speak words that are better than silence." Silence is not a lack of confidence. It is a sign of someone who understands that not everything is worth a reaction. The person who rushes to speak is often the one who has been pulled off their center. The person who is firm enough needs no verbal proof. Silence is not avoidance. It is a refusal to participate in conversations that add no value. When you react to every provocation, you are playing by someone else's rules. When you are silent, you maintain the right to choose your own game. The Stoics understand that not every act of disrespect needs to be debated. There are situations where words only complicate things. Silence, at the right time, causes the opponent to reveal themselves and places you in the position of the observer. Silence is also a way to preserve energy. Every time you argue or defend yourself against something undeserving, you are trading your composure. Remember, silence does not make you smaller. It places you above the noise. And sometimes, the strongest reaction is no reaction at all. 4. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Not every choice needs to be explained. Not every decision needs to be approved, and not everyone deserves your reasons. When you constantly explain yourself, you are asking for permission for what is inherently your right. A firm person does not live to be understood. They live to be right, true to themselves. Every time you try to justify yourself to suspicious glances or insincere questioning, you are putting yourself in a defensive position. And when you are defensive, you have ceded your stance. Epictetus reminds us that you cannot control the opinions of others, but you can always control your own actions. You do not owe the world approval. You only owe yourself consistency. Remember, the more you explain, the further you are led away from your center. Strong people speak little and do much. Their decisions stand firm not because they are explained, but because they are executed consistently over time. Therefore, do not rush to justify yourself. Do not try to please. When you stop explaining yourself to those who don't need to understand, you don't lose respect. You retain your dignity. 5. Prepare for discomfort. Most people do not collapse because of the event itself, but because they did not mentally prepare for it. They expect everything to go smoothly, expect others to behave properly, and expect life to be fair. And when reality does not turn out that way, they panic, get angry, or lose direction. The Stoics chose a different approach. They do not expect life to be easy. They prepare for discomfort, not out of pessimism, but so they are not surprised. When you have accepted that disappointment, delay, betrayal, or failure is a part of life, they no longer have the power to defeat you. Mental preparation does not make you live in fear. It helps you maintain composure when bad things happen. When others lose their temper, you are not shocked. When plans fall apart, you do not panic. When rejected, you do not lose your self-worth. You have already accounted for the possibility, so you stand firm. Epictetus taught that we cannot control what happens, but we can control our readiness. A prepared person will never be caught passive. Preparing for discomfort does not make you pessimistic. It makes you resilient, even when things do not go your way. 6. Control yourself, not the outcome. Most people exhaust themselves, not because they do too little, but because they try to control things that do not belong to them. They worry about the outcome, fear failure, and obsess over whether everything will go according to their wishes, to the point where they forget the only thing they can truly master: how they react. The Stoics view everything from a different perspective. You cannot control what others think, choose, or how they react, but how you react is always your choice. Epictetus taught that a person's value lies not in what they achieve, but in how they face what happens. When you focus on doing your part correctly, speaking rightly, acting rightly, maintaining proper boundaries, you are no longer obsessed with the outcome. Whether you win or lose, you maintain your center. Letting go of outcome control is not giving up. It is shifting focus. Instead of stressing over what has not yet arrived, you channel your energy into what you are doing now. Instead of hoping circumstances change, you train how to stand firm within those circumstances. Remember, outcomes come and go, but the way you behave will stay with you. When you control yourself, you don't need to control life. And at that moment, you are freer than anyone else. 7. Don't prove, don't defend. The need to prove oneself often does not come from strength, but from insecurity. When you try to explain that you are right, try to defend your choices against every doubting glance, you are seeking validation from the outside. And the moment you need that validation, you have lost your standing. A firm person does not live to be believed. They live to be true to themselves. They understand that arguing does not make them stronger. The more you try to prove, the deeper you are pulled into someone else's game. The Stoics do not deny criticism, but they do not rush to respond either. They observe selectively and continue to follow the path they have chosen. They know that time and action are the clearest explanation. No need to justify, no need to vindicate. You don't need proof to be valuable. Your value is expressed through the way you live, the way you behave, and your consistency over time. When you no longer need to prove or defend, you step out of a position of weakness and stand firm in silence. 8. Nothing is worth your inner peace. We often lose our peace not because of major events, but because of small things. A disrespectful comment, a cold attitude, an unconscious comparison, and little by little, you let them step inside. The Stoics understand very clearly, peace is not something that happens naturally. It is something that must be protected. When you allow trivial things to destabilize you, you are trading your peace for things that have no lasting value. Peace does not come from everything going smoothly. It comes from knowing what is worthy of your energy and what is not. Some arguments don't need to be won. There are instances of disrespect that don't need to be corrected. Some relationships don't need to be maintained. Giving them up is not losing. It is self-protection. Epictetus reminds us that you can lose many things in life, but if you maintain a calm mind, you haven't truly lost anything. Peace is the foundation for you to think clearly, act appropriately, and avoid being swept away by external chaos. Nothing external is worth losing your inner peace. When you protect that, you don't just live peacefully, you live firmly. 9. Observe more, react less. Most troubles in life do not start with the actions of others, but with your overly rapid reaction. You hear a statement, see an attitude, face a situation, and immediately react. And afterward, there is usually the familiar regret, I wish I had done things differently. The Stoics choose to observe before reacting. They do not rush to conclusions, nor do they rush to react instinctively. They step back and let the situation unfold naturally. In that silence, they clearly see the motives, clearly see the essence, and clearly see what truly needs attention. When you observe, you are not dragged along by the emotional rhythm of others. You are not pulled into games of provocation, arguments, or win-lose scenarios. You maintain distance, and that distance brings clarity. Reacting less does not make you weaker. It makes your every reaction more valuable. When you only speak when necessary and only act when the time is right, your words and actions carry weight. In every situation, the observer always has better control than the reactor. When you observe more and react less, you are not losing power. You are holding it in your hands. 10. Stay calm, move forward. After all, the important thing is not how many things you have been through, but whether you allow them to control your emotions. To act as if nothing bothers you is when you allow everything to pass through you, but you don't let them stay long enough to deflect you from your current path. You hear it, you see it, but you don't carry it with you. Don't let the words of others shape your mood. Don't let their attitude determine your direction. Don't let one moment ruin the entire journey. And that is where these 10 principles lead you, not to a life with fewer conflicts, but to a state of being where you are no longer swept away every time the world moves. You still walk amidst the noise, still face people and circumstances as before, but internally, you are steady enough not to lose yourself over anything. When you maintain that, you don't need to react to prove yourself. You don't need to stop to clarify. And you don't need to look back at what no longer belongs to you. You just quietly move forward, with the composure of someone who knows where they are going. If you have come this far, perhaps you are also at a stage where you are no longer seeking peace from the outside, but starting to learn how to keep it from within. Not because life has softened, but because you have learned to choose what to carry and what to leave behind. These 10 principles do not promise to make everything easier. They only help you stand firmer whenever things don't go as planned. And sometimes, standing firm is a form of moving forward. If this video resonated with you, hit like to save this moment for yourself. And if you want to continue this journey, subscribe to Stoic Journey to train together every day, quietly but firmly. See you on the next journey.